Hey friends, it's Christy with Stronger Every Day. Today's video is going to look a little bit different. You're going to notice several outfit changes. It's going to be a little choppy switching from video to video, but I wanted to do a video with all 30 ways to help us overcome depression and anxiety in one video. It will be super long. It's over an hour, almost 2 hours actually. You can watch these videos individually, or you can watch this one through the whole way, or just come back whenever you need a second or have a second and can watch all 30. I just want to make this as easy as possible, and so whichever's easiest for you is great, but I wanted to do it both ways, either 3 separate videos which have already been posted, or this video which has all 30 together. So let's go ahead and jump in and get started. 30 ways to help you overcome depression and anxiety. I feel like today we want to know, like, but how do I fix this? How does this get better? How do I get out of this hole that I'm in? How do I feel better mentally? How do I feel alive and like I want to be a part of this world? And friends, I've dealt with that for 27 and a half years, and I've said over the past probably year and a half that I feel that my depression has lifted. I talked a little bit with you guys about that I was going to talk to my doctor at my checkup in May about coming off the medicine, and then Nick got sick and is still sick, and so I opted to not do that. I didn't think that was the best time to try to wean myself off medicine, given that I've been on and off medicine for 29 years. But some of these things have worked for me, some haven't. But not only do I pray about these videos and I talk to God about them, and I pray that He comes through me, but that I also research these videos to figure out what has helped other people and what I think would be beneficial. This is one of the most asked questions I get is but how did you get better? And there's videos that I've touched on some of these. You can go back through the playlist and watch, but I thought it would be good to have kind of everything I had as far as knowledge, not everything, but a lot of the good tips and things that you could do for fairly practical ways that you can help your mental health. So again, this video is going to be 1 through 10, so let's dive in and get started. The first one, and for honestly the most obvious, the most needed, the most important, the biggest hitter of all, right, is to study, pray, and spend time with God. This just not gonna work without that in your life, and without spending that time with God. And what I mean by that is that on your level days, your good days, your semi-good days, that's whatever that looks like, whatever chunk of time that looks like, it's carving that out for God every single day and spending time with Him. It's reading your Bible, studying your Bible, it's praying, it's listening to worship music, it's spending some just time. I've really tried to zone in on this lately, is just no phone, no TV, no distractions, and just spend time listening for God. Being able to carve out all the distraction and hear that still small voice, and setting aside that time for Him. And we've talked about in videos before that sometimes, you know, your brain fog is so bad that opening up your Bible is, you know, again, God knows the Bible. We're studying the Bible to learn more about Him and to help us. God has grace for that, and He is allowing you to take that time to maybe that's the day that you really kind of hone in on some praise and worship music. Maybe that's the day that you take some time and just listen for God. Maybe that's the day that you take some time and just really dive deep in a verse, one single verse, one solitary verse. And if you don't have the mental capacity for that, again, praise and worship, listen to a video, listen to your favorite pastor, preacher, teacher talk about things that can uplift you. It's definitely not the time to turn on sad music, sad songs, sad things, pull out pictures that are upsetting. It's definitely not the time for that. But first, number one is always going to be praying, studying, spending time with God. If you think about any relationship that you have, whether that's a person-to-person relationship, a friend, a spouse, a family member, or whether that's your work-life relationship, you take time to build that every single day. You know, sometimes we have more to give than others. You know, I've always heard relationships are 50-50. I know the intent behind that, and I understand the intent behind that not one person can't give it all and the other person give nothing, or the relationship won't last. I think what's more practical in today's society is we give the best we have. So maybe one day I'm 60% and one day Nick's 40. Maybe one day he's 80 and I'm 20. We give each other the best we have. But we also need to spend that time building a relationship with God. He is the biggest relationship of your life that you're ever going to have. And it's taking time to spend time with Him. It's building and working on that relationship. It is the most important relationship we're ever going to have in our life. But we seem to just want to fit God in wherever it's convenient around our life. The reason you have life is God gave it to you. So it's going all in. It's going all in and having that relationship with God. I do want to touch deeper on this conversation in another video. But for this video, we're going to move on to number 2, which is talk to someone. And I have people that say, you know, my friends don't understand, my family doesn't understand, I have no one to talk to. Star 988 is the suicide hotline you can reach out to. You can talk to a counselor. There's ways you can get some of those services for free. I know everybody's budget isn't going to just allow you to go talk to someone. Been there. And it's difficult, but friend, family, a counselor, Star 988 are all good resources. Go on the internet and find maybe a agency. I have a video, I'll try to remember to link it up above, that talks about different services that can offer free or somewhat semi-free help for finding a counselor that you can talk to that isn't the full price, especially if you don't have insurance to help you there. But talking to someone, the devil loves it when we withdraw, because the only voice that we hear, and let's be 100% honest, the only voice we hear when we're in that dark spot is the devil's telling us all the crap he wants us to tell. And at that point, we're tired and we don't really have a lot to fight him off, so we're just listening to all those crap thoughts. And it's hard because a lot of the time you want to withdraw. I think we take it to extremes. We either want to withdraw or we want to go out and almost party it up and live like there's no tomorrow, because honestly at that point we don't really care if there is. I think it can go either way. And obviously anywhere in between that. But I think a lot of times we do take it to the extremes. But it's talking to someone, not withdrawing into just darkness and not hearing other perspectives. Again, it goes back to, if there's nothing you can do, if you're just, we know that depression and anxiety, other mental illnesses physically drain you. You don't have energy, then maybe just turn on a YouTube Christian mix or whatever that might look like for you. Number 3 is shifting your focus. So what we think, we tend to become. So if I wake up and automatically I'll start my day off with, I don't feel good, I'm hurting all over, and then I knock my phone in the floor, turning my alarm off, and then I stump my toe going in to brush my teeth, and automatically my focus is, well, this day's shot, this day's ruined, or whatever that might look like, instead of saying it's gonna be a good day. And that's not denying facts that are happening. It's changing your perspective, changing your focus. I try hard every day to get in a routine of waking up and being thankful that I'm alive, because for years I never felt that way. I wanted to be home. I wanted to go home. And stopping and being thankful that I'm alive that day is a big one. And realizing that what I'm thinking, if I wake up thinking today's gonna be a crap day, I'm gonna be honest, a lot of times it is. And it doesn't always change for the better when I try to change those thoughts. Sometimes the whole day, the best part of the day was dropping my phone, turning my alarm off. It's changing our focus. I would rather have half of a good day than a whole crap day, correct? It's changing our focus. It's focusing on, not necessarily, and I don't say this in a selfish way, is that we're focusing on ourselves, because a lot of times when you're struggling with mental health, your focus is you, because you're just trying to survive the day. You're just trying to survive the minute, the hour. But it's choosing to change your focus, focusing on the Lord, focusing on being God's hands and feet. I've told you that every day I pray, God, let me be your hands and feet. Some days I do really well at that, and some days I don't. But God sees my heart, and he sees the change that he has been able to work through me to help others throughout the day. Number 4 is take a news/social media break. And I will encourage you, with November 5th coming up, that maybe you do tend to back away from social media a bit. I was sick this whole week prior with strep throat. And just a side note, I had no idea strep throat included all of the other things. To me, strep throat meant you have a sore throat. And in fact, that is not all it means. Nausea, vomiting, upset stomach, fever, aching, sore throat, my ears were aching, headaches. It was miserable. About passed out going to the doctor Monday twice. Threw up in the car on the way home Monday. Luckily, Nick was able to drive me. That was another concern of how am I going to get to the hospital? How am I going to get to, I didn't go to the hospital, the doctor, how am I going to get there? Because I couldn't drive myself, and Nick's not been driving, but God was with us and he got us there, and he got us home safely. So that was a whole shift. But what I've noticed through being off this past week is I watched one video that changed my whole feed, on not all of my feed, but a lot of it on my YouTube algorithm. And I didn't want to watch the rest of that. And so I had to go through and get rid of those channels, and make it change my feed back to what I want to see. There's a lot of negativity out there right now. There's a lot of tragic and horrible things that have happened. There's a lot of things that are different and unknown and not something we're used to. Doesn't matter which party that you're on. We're children of God, right? We're focusing on the wrong things. And I think social media is great, but it can be taken at a wrong pace. There's things that I will flip to either YouTube or Instagram or Facebook, and I'll see something and it just automatically just, just changes my mood for a second. And so I have decided to back myself off those platforms a little bit. I do still check in on Instagram because I want to see if anybody's messaged me over there, because we do communicate over there some. Outside of that, the mindless scrolling through and just all the things that you see, and realizing that that's not healthy for me. And I think over the next few months, probably longer than November 5th, that it's gonna be a lot of negativity and a lot of dividing each other, and I just don't have room for that in my space. And so I control what I view, I control what I watch, and so that means being very protective of my mind and what I let into my mind. And I encourage you to do that as well with taking a break. And it could be a day, it could be 2 days, it could be a week, a month, a year. I'm not saying what the limit looks like on that. Maybe it's just cutting down. Maybe you spend 3 hours a day off and on social media. Maybe it's cutting down to an hour. Whatever that looks like, I'm not putting a limit on that, but just protecting your mental health, protecting your space, protecting what you're seeing and having to process. The next one is laughter. Whether that's with a friend, a family member, a spouse, whether that's with somebody you meet on, interacting at your job. Laughing. Put in a funny movie. I have funny go-to movies that if I need a good laugh, I put in. I have shows that I will put in to watch if I just need background noise, just to kind of tune out everything else. Laughter, you'd be surprised. It's hard to
to have anxiety and have depression and some of these other mental illnesses when you're laughing. I'm not saying laughter is curing all. I'm not saying that. Like I said, there's 30 and there's probably hundreds of ways to help with anxiety and mental illness. But these are some of the things that some of have worked for me and some haven't. But just finding something that makes you laugh, that makes you giggle, that makes you recall it later on and you're laughing just for no reason. Just something that makes you smile and makes you laugh. Another one is let go of guilt and worry. I am my own worst critic. I judge everything I do. And it's interesting to me because I've said a long time ago, I feel like I have it backwards from what I see a lot of people do. I feel like we kind of judge ourselves with the rose-colored glasses, but when we view someone else, we put on the telescope, right? And really judge and look tight on what they're doing. I don't feel that I do that as much to other people. I feel like I do it incessantly to me. And so if I make a mistake or if I handled a situation, I don't feel like I handled it like God would, then I'd automatically start condemning myself. And then eventually after I've felt like I punished myself enough, then I'll pray and ask God to forgive me. And that's not how God wants us to work. He knows our heart. We're never going to be perfect here on this earth. We're never going to be God. We're never going to be Christ. Our goal is to be as Christ-like as possible. But it's letting go of that. Of yes, I made a mistake. Yes, I lost my temper. Yes, I snapped something off, spouted something off when somebody, Nick said something that irritated me, and maybe I wasn't as overly polite to a clerk that I felt was being rude to me when I could have maybe helped that person. I was thinking about this the other day. Sometimes you have no idea what they just encountered 5 minutes before you walked up. So maybe they just got bawled out by someone, and then you walk up. Well, obviously they're not rainbows and sunshine. They just got yelled at, and it's hard to make that transition. And so I always ask God to help me, let me be your hands and feet, but sometimes I don't see those instances that He's leading me right to, and I condemn myself and I jump on myself. It's letting go of that. It's letting go of worry. And I can tell you that over this past little bit, how much worry that I've had with everything going on with Nick, not only just his medical condition, but just trying to get everything done that he's not able to do, worrying about what's his job situation going to look like. He's been able to work from home, and that's been a blessing, but that's at every 2-week discussion, and it's nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking not to know what your, supposed financial future is going to look like, how things are going to go. And then I had to miss all of last week being sick, and I went in Friday and made it an hour and a half and had to come home. But I did not have any personal time because I had taken it with Nick, and so we missed a week of my paycheck. And so it's just the kind of the worry has really been on me. And I told you in either the last video or the video before, when I was driving down the road listening to TobyMac Faithfully, and the Holy Spirit just came over me, and I just started talking out loud. God, devil, get away from me, leave me alone. God's already won the battle. We have a hedge of protection. I'm a child of God. Nick's a child of God. We are protected. We are His kids. And just really jumped into that and how much better I felt after the fact. But just letting go of some worry, just letting it go. It's going to be what it's going to be. And the only thing we can do is what we know is right, and just let the rest go. Now, am I a perfect example of that every time? No. But I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better and better and better. When I say that this last 3 months of what Nick and I have went through would have sent me in the deepest spiral that I've ever been in before, had I not basically practiced what I preach. I can't specify, I can't explain that enough to you, of how absolute truth that is. It's learning to just let it go. What's gonna happen is gonna happen. You do the best that you can do. You be the best version of you, the most Christ-like you can do, and then letting the rest go. Letting go of the guilt, letting go of the worry. it's not easy necessarily. None of these are. None of these are just, oh, okay, well, why didn't I think of that? I'll do that. They take work, and we're already tired. We're already exhausted. So I know I'm not just saying this isn't just a, oh, well, I'll just start that today. You know, these take practice and take time, but you can do it. The next one is do something you enjoy. So whether it's going to the gym, whether it's gardening, canning, that's big right now, gardening and canning. I so miss not having a garden this year, but it just wasn't in the possibilities for us this year. That even if we could have gotten it in the ground before Nick got sick, I wouldn't have had the time to maintain it. But the gardening, going to the gym, going for a walk, hanging out with friends, going to a movie, going on a hike, going to a concert, going for a drive, getting the weekend away. I know that Nick and I typically do not do vacation. I am trying to recall how many, so right when we got married, we went on a vacation with my mom and dad and brother and his wife. That wasn't a vacation, that was my mom's last trip to the beach, and it was very intense and very hard, but we did get to see the beach. We went on one overnight. We got there Friday, stayed Saturday, came back Sunday to a Rory Feek concert at Hardison Mill in Columbia, Tennessee. And that was an amazing experience. I highly encourage you to do that if you haven't ever been to one of his concerts. Amazing experience. But just doing something that you enjoy. I'm trying to think. My point being is we don't get away a lot. And so we are going to take a small weekend trip. You know, just probably Saturday and Sunday, and get away for just a minute. We just need a break from the realities of life and just take in some beautiful views, eat some good food, see some good entertainment, just enjoy some things. And that's hard in today's society. It's always been difficult for us to get away, both just having the time to get away and the money to get away. And what we've decided is we've been putting little pockets of extra money back so that we can then take a trip and get away. So do something you enjoy. Find anything, something, multiple things, something, you know, it kind of ties in with the laughter, something that's going to get you excited, make you happy, make you smile. The next one is moving your body. And we've talked about this in detail. I don't necessarily mean exercise. I know people tune out when you say exercise. It's moving your body. It's getting up out of the bed, right? Which is hard sometimes for us. Getting up, moving your body, enjoying life. Again, going for a walk, go hiking, walk to the neighbor's house, go on a nature hike. I know sometimes Nick and we have 13 acres. It's Nick and I live here, and then his mom and dad live up in front. And there's a creek on the back of our property. It's wooded back there. Sometimes we'll just walk back there and go for a walk. You might hear the rain. It's raining and storming here in Tennessee today, but it is what it is. So just getting up and enjoying life, moving your body. Now, if you have time for exercise, Nick and I have talked about in detail of jumping on and getting some things to help us. Now, Nick is a little different. He can't necessarily do what maybe I could do right now. But even if we go just for a walk, a 15-minute walk together, or just something to start implementing, building his muscles back without hurting them, and then getting a little bit of cardio in for us, a little bit of endorphins going, moving your body. Just find something that works for you and do that. I'm not telling you to run 27 miles a day. If you can, I think that's amazing. I always wanted to be a runner. Number one, I was always super slow. But number two, I just struggled with lung capacity. Even when I was in tip-top shape, which in high school I was, and some of college, running distance was hard for me. Now, I could get a couple miles in, but then after that, I just winded out. But I've always been not envious, but I've always been like, man, I wish I could do that. When my father-in-law runs marathons, and I've always thought, man, that would just be so nice, just be go out there and knock out a 26.3 or whatever miles it is. The other one is watch your diet, and I can't emphasize this enough. I've told you that in multiple ways, sugar is detrimental for me for a lot of reasons. Number one, it flares my arthritis. And I can tell immediately when I've eaten sugar that my hands start to hurt, my hips start to hurt, my elbows hurt, my knees hurt, my joints, all of my joints start hurting within a relatively quick period of time. And I can tell and feel a noticeable difference when I've backed off the sugar. Not only that, but because of it creates the inflammation. It has an effect, direct effect on our mental health. And so I'm not saying don't ever eat anything sweet again. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying use common sense and use moderation. We've talked in detail that I personally think that if every human on this earth could do organic, they would. However, I don't know of anyone, and I know people on all spectrums of money, that can do every single thing they eat, they drink, they use on their body 100% organic. I just don't know anybody. It's not feasible. Some people, your grocery store is basically an oversized convenience store, and it's packaged foods, it's processed foods. Do the best you can. I've told you that Nick and I, for years, we had a peanut butter sandwich between us. We had one peanut butter sandwich. He got one, I got one, and that's what we ate for the day. That's what we could afford. That's what we could handle. So in the means, but I'm saying if you have a chance to choose maybe an apple or some fruit or maybe avocado, whatever it is you like that's good for you versus a candy bar, maybe you go for the better one. It's also disheartening if you think about our food industry today. I was watching a podcast about, it wasn't just about cereal, but they were talking about cereal, and the exact same brand of cereal that's marketed for kids in the US is almost twice as detrimental as the exact same cereal that's sold like in Canada or the UK. And a lot of the junk is taken out of it and sold, whereas here it's left in. And that's sad. And it's also sad that you can buy said crap for way less expensive than you can buy a healthy option. But we're not here to discuss that today. The next and last one for today's video is, and this is one of my personal favorites, is play with your kids, play with your dog, play with your cat, play with your chickens, your goats, your donkeys, your turtle, your bird, your whatever, your lobster, whatever animal you have. If you have kids, spend some time with your two-legged kids. Spend some time with them, just taking that time and just enjoying. I know sometimes I'll look over at one of our fur babies and they just crack me up. And ours are all older. Our youngest is 10 and they go up to almost 16. So they're not as playful as they once were. Obviously they're older, but still there's things that they'll do that just make you laugh. It's just something that's just entertaining. You know, animals and kids are so good at just loving you unconditionally. They just, you know, they don't have all of the life experience, I guess, that we have, and they haven't been let down. Some have, unfortunately, but some haven't been let down by people. And so it's just a fun experience, just to take a little time and just play, you know, play with your dog, again, your cat. 11, which is forgive. This is a big one, and it's a hard one because we don't always want to. We feel like we're vindicated in our anger, and even if we get an apology, which, let's just be honest, sometimes we don't, and we never do, we still feel like we're vindicated and holding on to that anger. What I've come to learn in my time on this earth is I prefer peace. So one of the people that I listened to was talking about how they start forgiving someone in the middle of being hurt. And I love that. I absolutely love that. And I hesitate to use their name because here's the thing. There's going to be preachers and teachers and pastors that you like that maybe I don't like, and vice versa. And we tend to judge that person based on, again, what do you look like? What do you talk? How do you talk? How do you sound? What political party are you with? What religion are you? What background do you have? Do you eat, dress, talk, think, speak like me? And if you don't, then we don't like you. And so I'll keep the name to myself, but some of you probably already know who I'm talking about. And I love it. I love that. Forgiving people in the middle of them offending you. Because my peace is more important than my anger and my need for justification that I'm right and you're wrong and I deserve an apology. And maybe I do. Maybe it is a horrible thing that's been done. There's been things that have been done to me, and some I got an apology for and some I never did. One of the things I've talked a little bit about is my mom. We had a tough relationship, and I never got an apology from her. Never. And I decided years before she passed, and actually before she got cancer, that I didn't need one. It wouldn't be what I needed. It was never gonna make what I felt inside feel better if I got one. So I decided just to forgive and move on and just let it go. And I remember my dad saying after she passed, I wish you and your mom could have talked about all the things that have happened and worked that out. And I said, Dad, I didn't need that. I didn't need that. And even if my mom would have needed that, it would have been detrimental to me listening to it, because it would have been just not what either one of us would have benefited from. So, but I forgave her long ago, and it's just letting go. There's been people that have hurt me since then. It's just letting go of that anger, and it's not always easy. But one thing I try to remember is there's times in my life that I've hurt people. And I say this a lot when I meet somebody for the first time and we've kind of become friends, that I can almost guarantee you at some point in our relationship, I am going to do or say something that is going to hurt. And it's not because I don't love you and because I don't care about you. Maybe I'm having a bad day. Maybe I didn't mean it that way, whatever. But I hope that you can love me enough to forgive me. And I know that there's going to be a day that you're going to do the same to me. And I hope that I can love you enough to understand where you're coming from and let that go and forgive you and us still be friends. I want peace. I just want peace. Who's right, who's wrong, honestly don't care. And if it's a huge injustice, I struggle with this, and maybe we'll do a video on this one day about where do you just pray and let God handle it, and where do you start coming in flipping tables over. I struggle with that because there are some things that are difficult in life, and when you see things that are happening, I struggle with that, and I don't think I'm alone there. Number 12 is stop comparing yourself and your life to everyone else. This is such a, okay, so let's just start off here. You're on social media, you see all your friends, let's say for summer vacation, right? They're going to the beach, they're going to the lake, they're going to the mountains, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're having all these adventures, and we have 437 photos of every fun thing that they did during that trip. I would venture to say that 3/4 of those people are going to be making payments for the next 6 months to a year on said vacation. They're also probably stressed because of said vacation, because now that they had the fun, now they have to pay for the fun. But it tricks us into thinking, oh wow, what a life. What a world, what a life. I would love to, I didn't get to go on vacation this year, and wow, look at them. I don't compare myself to anyone. I compare myself to the latest version of me, right? My goal is to be the best version of Chrissy I can be that is the most Christ-like as possible. I don't feel the need to look like somebody or speak like somebody or drive the top of the line vehicle or dress in whatever fashion or wear. I just don't. And maybe I'm different in that way. We rob our joy and our peace, and we just create depression and anxiety when we are constantly comparing ourselves to others. Not only ourselves, but then we push it on our husbands and our wives, our kids, our family. Y'all should act like this, and y'all should do this, and nobody is perfect. It's just a constant roller coaster of comparing ourselves and what we lack and what they have. I just would encourage you to really maybe take a second and work on deprogramming yourself to get away from that, to get away from comparing. And what I've even done is went a step above that, and I get excited We have some friends, we have a lot of friends that they're in a good spot right now in life, and so when they get blessed with something, I think it's awesome. Like, I'm tickled for them, I'm excited for them. They're hard workers, they love people, they're just good people to be around, and when something good happens to them, I'm not jealous or envious. I'm like, man, that is awesome. I feel that deep down in my soul, deep down in my spirit. It's not a fake thing. I think, man, God, look at you blessing them. I encourage you. Now, am I perfect in this? No, I don't. I think maybe in this particular area, I'm a little bit better than average as far as that. I just don't look at someone and think, well, why did they get a lake house? Well, why did they have a house in the mountains? Well, why did they go on 3 months to Aruba? Or, you know, whatever that might. Why did they get 235 acres? I'm excited. I'm excited for them. I'm excited somebody got a blessing. I'm not jealous because I didn't get mine yet. You know, I'm excited. And I tell y'all all the time, I find more excitement in the little things that God does for me on a day in and day out basis. Let me tell you one very basic. I told you in the first video that I had been sick with strep throat and all the symptoms of strep throat. And let me tell you one little thing God did for me. Not only did he got us there and my husband was able to drive us, but I was nauseous and other things while we were in the waiting room, and I almost passed out twice in the waiting room. I had a wet like a bandana. My husband he's bald, so sometimes if he doesn't have his like little hat on, he'll carry a bandana so he can keep the sun off his head. Luckily he had one, and I had it around my neck. I had to be like wheeled back in a wheelchair, and I needed to go to the bathroom, but I was afraid if I went to the bathroom I would pass out in there, and then you know, you're still going to go to the bathroom basically. God kept me, my bottom half from going to the bathroom, we'll say that. We got back in the car. I laid in the back seat face down with they gave me like a little bag to throw up in, and even though I did throw up in the bag, I didn't throw up all over the car. And then he was able to, they had given me a shot of Phenergan for the vomiting, and said, you know, you need to get her straight home because this is going to really kick in. And Nick cannot help me at all. So we got all the way home. I was still fairly lucid, came in, went to the bathroom, did fine, got in the bed, and then fell asleep. That's God, friends. That's God the whole way. I'm more tickled that he helped me in that situation than, well, how come they got a brand new, you know, BMW? I like him being with me in the everyday, all day little moments. You know, if he chooses to bless me with a 500-acre farm, I mean, I'm not going to be mad about it. I'm just telling you. But I just get tickled when he's with me in the everyday. I get tickled when I narrowly miss hitting a deer on the way home, because I know I didn't narrowly miss it. God prevented it. I'm not saying that when you hit a deer, that's God doing that, but I tend to look at all the little things that he does for me. Those make me happier than anything. Got a little diverted there. Let's go on to number 13, which is journal. For me, journaling doesn't help much. I used to have the mindset of, well, I don't want to write when I'm feeling down, because if anybody ever read this, but for millions of people, journaling is a big one. That's been not only people that I've talked to who deal with depression, anxiety, but also from some of the research that I have done, journaling is a big one. It helps, I guess, get those thoughts in your head out on paper, and instead of, they're not in there, they're still in there, but they're not, you've released them, right? Have you ever turned to just, you said, God, I realize I can't do this. I've been carrying it on my shoulders this whole time. I turn it over to you, and you feel that just release of weight. That's kind of how I associate what they're talking about with journaling. So journaling, if journaling works for you, write it down. Maybe it will help you too to journal the good days, so that you can go back and look and see what happened in that month that you were having some bad times, and then the week later. Because friends, there's always something just on the other side that if you don't hold on for, you're never gonna see. The next one is relax, and this for me is very hard. I don't understand it. I don't really know how to do it. I I am getting a little bit better at it. I feel like I'm getting a little bit better at it. For me, what I feel is relaxing is just is maybe being home, or maybe I picture like if you're in the mountains, just sitting out on the deck, watching the leaves, watching maybe the bear or the deer or the birds or whatever that might look like in the area that you live in. Maybe it's dolphins, maybe you live on the ocean, but just kind of watching that and just breathing it in. You know, sometimes being at the beach and just smelling the salt air and just watching and listening to the waves can be relaxing to me. I don't live near a beach, so I couldn't tell you the last time I did that. But whatever that looks like for you, maybe it's lighting a candle and taking a bath. Maybe it's just lighting a candle and listening to some music, dancing around your house while nobody's watching, or maybe while everybody's watching. Whatever that might look like to help you relax, I think would be a great one. And again, that is one that I'm working on. I'm just not quite sure how you're supposed to do that, especially in certain times of life. But it is, you know, I'll tell you this, my boss was telling me, this is back when this first started happening with Nick back in April, and she said, what are you doing for you? And I'm like, I don't, what? What are you talking about? And she said, don't let yourself miss moments of opportunities to help you mentally and physically recoup. And she said, what's one thing that you enjoy? And I said, well, I love sitting out on the back porch and watching the chickens and goats. That to me is relaxing. And you might be like, what? Watching what? Your chickens and goats? No. I love it. I love watching them interact. I love watching them talking and chasing things and just interacting, playing. I love watching them just be them, just do whatever they want to do. It's relaxing for me. And so I would take 5 minutes. I would try to take 5 minutes, or maybe it was 3 minutes, and just sit on the back deck just for a second. It's hot here in Tennessee, and it usually is, you know, May, June, July, August, and some of September are usually pretty warm. But just taking that time and sitting out there and relaxing, whatever relaxing looks like to you. Number 15 is check your priorities. Nick and I talk about this on a semi-regular basis. I think priorities change, obviously, from season to season, but there's a few things that we have kind of whittled out of our life, and there's probably more that need to go. I do best when things are gradually changed. I don't do great when everything's just kind of wha-bam in your face, which is one thing that took me so long to finally overcome depression and anxiety, was that I would say, okay, I'll talk to a counselor, and then I would do that for a couple months, and then I would do this, and then I would do that, and I kind of threw the book at it in a staging way. I really started diving deep and spending time in the Lord, but then I worked on my diet, my exercise, I worked on my quiet time, I worked on my list of things that I did to help make me better, a lot of which we talk about in these 3 videos. The next one is don't isolate for long. And I preface that for long. Sometimes I'll come home and just say, I need a minute. And that might be 5 minutes, it might be an hour, it might be 3 hours. But I've been overstimulated that day. There's been a lot that I've had to fight off. It's not always easy in today's world to maintain with a Christian response to someone in your face screaming at you. That can be difficult, to love them with the love of the Lord and see past why they're yelling at you and see into what's actually wrong, like what's actually causing that problem. That's hard. And so there's times I'll come home and say, I need a minute, and just isolate. There's times where I don't want to see anybody all day long. There's nothing wrong with that. What's wrong with it is when we get in that season of life for days, weeks, and months, and we isolate, and again, we only hear the crap that the devil's telling us. That's an issue. Routine. For me, routine is huge. I need a routine, and I don't have to think about it, so it takes the anxiety out of it. What are we doing today? That causes me anxiety. That's one of the questions that Nick will ask me all the time. What's the plan today, or what are we doing? And it gives me a level of anxiety. Not so much anymore, because I know now that his intent is what's our itinerary for today? Like, what are we doing at 7 a.m. till midnight. It's just he's wanting to get a game plan for what my plans are, what his plans are, where they interloop and where they need to be done separate. But I like a routine. I like to get up around the same time every day. I like to go to bed around the same time every day. I like to leave for work around the same time every day. I like to have my stuff set out, ready to go. I like and enjoy routine. I don't have to think about it. It's like a recipe that you no longer have to look at the recipe card. It's just pleasurable when you don't have to think about it. You don't have to worry about it and constantly go back and check that recipe. You already know how to do it. You just fix it, bake it, cook it, and go, whatever. But it's having a routine. The next one is acknowledging acknowledging whatever's going on. I don't push aside what life has for us right now. And one of the newest things in life that we found out Monday before I got sick is Luke, our Yorkie. I'll put a picture of him up here, has a mass on his heart. And we have maybe 2 to 6 months with him. It's been a hard year. We've lost Maggie, our goat. We've lost Stella, our Dane. We are going to possibly lose Luke. Nick's been sick, you know, thunder. Nick's been sick for 3+ months. It's been a lot going on. And then Sugar isn't in necessarily the best health. Our Roddy mix. Colt, our oldest Yorkie, is 15, going to be 16. He's not in the best health. We just have a lot going on, and that's just some of the stuff in our immediate right here thing. But I don't not acknowledge. I acknowledge all of the things that are happening. I acknowledge everything that's going on. I'm not an ostrich sticking my head in the sand, but I'm acknowledging it. I'm just not dwelling in it. I'm just not gonna live in, okay, you know, we got the news about Luke, we processed it, there were some tears, there still are tears, but I'm gonna enjoy every day God lets us have that little feller around. The same with Nick. We don't know his situation, we don't know what's going on. We're not acknowledging that he's sick. You can't not look at him and know that he's sick. You can't not talk to him on certain days. His voice is weak. We're not acknowledging that. We are acknowledging that, but we're again shifting our focus onto this is the reality, and this is how we're going to lean on God for it. We're going to lean in. We're going to be all in with God. And so just acknowledging it and realizing that once you acknowledge it, then you can start working on how you're going to fix it. The next one, number 19, is prioritize your sleep. I cannot say this enough. I feel like when we struggle with mental health, it's either too much or too little. We either sleep too much or we sleep too little, or so it's never routine. It's kind of all over the place. I've tried to set a schedule. It's been a little off since Nick's been sick, but we try to go to bed at the same time. We try to wake up at the same time. It just helps, but it's also prioritizing that sleep, that there's only so many hours in the day and I need so many hours to function. Some people say they function fine on 4 hours. Some people say they need 10 hours. Everybody's different. Everybody's in between. I don't think there's a right and wrong answer here. I think it's what we know what works for our body, so whatever that looks like. But it's prioritizing your sleep and having a sleep routine. Number 20 is set goals. So Nick and I had decided that we wanted to set a goal, that we wanted to take a small vacation this year, so over the weekend. And so we started putting money back for that so that we could do that. We started researching where we wanted to go, looking for things. It's something to get excited about. We also decided that we wanted to start being a little bit more prepared for an emergency. And so setting funds aside, watching what we're spending, setting funds aside so that, you know, this whole situation that's been going on since April with him could have been a lot different depending on the job he had, and we could have been in a bad spot. So it's just setting things aside to have goals. Now maybe your goals are you want to buy a house, or you want to spend, you know, you want to save money to get married, or you want to buy a dress, or there's a vehicle you want, or whatever your goal might look like. all of us have different dreams, all of us have different goals, but it's setting a goal and making a plan to actively go at it. I think it's rewarding when you see the progress, even if it's slow, but you're seeing the progress happen. It's a joyful thing. And like I said, there's no time limit, so whether it takes you, you know, 10 minutes or 10 years to get to that goal, you set it and you went for it, and you never gave up on that goal. So that's number 20. So that is video 2 in our 3-part series. We will have video number 3 up. Like I said, I'll probably stagger these so that it's not all Monday, every Monday is a video about this, because some people don't necessarily need this, but it'll probably be every other Monday in the series until we're all done and caught up there. So we're going to start with number 21, which is help someone else. It's amazing sometimes when God gives you the ability to help someone else when you're asking for help in something. It's a beautiful thing. And so there's times when, even through all the things that we've been going through, that you can take time and just do a little something that helps somebody else. Maybe that's maybe, you know, they forgot their lunch and that's buying their lunch for the day. Maybe it is mowing their lawn. Maybe it is cooking them something and taking it to them. Maybe it's just calling and checking on them and actually having a conversation with them, or stopping by. Whatever that might look like, but just doing something to help someone else. Little, small, spending money, not spending money. There's no guidelines here. It's just doing something to help someone else can actually help us and make us feel better. That's not, obviously not why we're doing it, but it's a byproduct of it. Number 22, and I love this one because I am a candle girl, is aromatherapy. Now, that just means lighting a candle or having a diffuser going, or a melt going. There's a candle company, I'm gonna link them below. I think it's called Rose Creek Candle. Friends, they are expensive. Anything nowadays though really is, but for what you're getting, so they're 100% beeswax candles. They smell so amazing. There's one, I'll have to post it down below, some of the scents that I've tried that I love. I love candles, and as you know, a lot of the candles aren't necessarily the best for you. The ones that tend to have the most color in them tend to have a lot of things that aren't maybe great for you. What I love about these is I, for a long time, have made my own beeswax candles, and I enjoy that, but I just don't necessarily have the time for it right now. So I found this company online. I ordered a few. It's in the US. I ordered a few, fell in love with them, and then I ordered some more. I feel confident referencing them to you guys, and I'll post down below again. I'm pretty sure it's Rose Creek Candle Company. So good. Pink hibiscus is one of the scents that I love. I think it's S-A-N-T-A-L. I'm not sure how you say that. And coconut, I believe, is one of my favorite scents ever. There's 2 more that I've tried that I liked. Anyway, they have melts, so they have beeswax melts. And then they have candles. They have obviously oils that you can diffuse. They have one that's like a little glass little bottle you can put in your car on your rear view mirror, and it has the oil scent coming through it. So good. They're so good. Anyways, whatever candle you like, you know, it doesn't have to be a fancy candle. I consider those fancy candles. You might not consider them fancy, but I love candles. I always have. I just love the glow of a candle. I love the scent that a candle gives. For years and years, we've not been able to have a Christmas tree because we had a cat named Taz, and his favorite thing was to attack the Christmas tree. So for years, we did not have a Christmas tree inside, and now we don't. I guess now we have the room for one, but we haven't had one inside, so we planted one outside, and then we had an artificial one the year before last, we had an artificial one on the front porch. We got it for like $3 at an auction and put it on the front porch and lit it up. We typically go big at Christmas around here. Last year we did not. We had a lot of things going on, so we didn't. And I don't know about this year with Nick being sick, but we typically light the block, right? We go big, but we'll see. That's not what Christmas is about. It just brings joy to me to see all the lights, and I love having people drive by and slow down and see their kids smile and them smile. It's just fun to see that. But anyway, I love the smell. So we would have a candle. I'm trying to think. what the company was. It smelled like a Christmas tree. And I still love the smell of that, but they changed the formula, I noticed, over the past little bit, and so it isn't as good as it was in the past. But this company, that Rose Creek, I think they have one too that I haven't smelt it, but I'm going to try it for Christmas because we don't have a real Christmas tree and I miss the smell. But so anyway, aromatherapy. Breaking up tasks. Now this is one that Nick and I have had to learn quick, fast, and in a hurry, because what we used to could get done in an hour or a day is now taking longer. It's something that my dad talked to me about. It's also something our friend who has been battling cancer for the last 15 months, and we're going to say a praise report that he is cancer free. He will get scans done before this video comes out, but we're gonna declare it, and God's will be done, but we're gonna declare it. He's been fighting it. He's also been a big help in help, you know, talking about breaking tasks up, like what you think you should be able to get done in a day. Maybe you break it up and take a weekend, or maybe you do it every other weekend, whatever that might look like. Maybe you used to be able to clean your entire house in a day and now you can't. Maybe, you know, whatever your task looks like, they're all different. We're just breaking them up, finding some enjoyment in it, and enjoying the process instead of just dreading every second of it. But sometimes things take a little longer, and just breaking up tasks, making them more manageable. The next one is enjoy the little things. So I told Nick the other day, I sat in here, I sat in the bed, and I studied for a while, and I read for a while. I watched some teachings for a while, and then I just sat here in silence and just listened to the birds, just listened to the noises in the environment. Listen to see if God had anything to tell me. Just enjoying the little things. It doesn't have to be a big expensive vacation. It doesn't have to be a fancy dinner or a big party or whatever. That's not life. 90% of our life is everyday little things, and it's learning to find joy in that. Nick and I cleaned our closet out the other day, and it's a task that we've been putting off for a while. Number one, you know, he wasn't really able to do much to help, and so I was already dreading it, but we just took it slow. We didn't get overwhelmed. It took us about 3-4 hours to do, but we got it done. We got a bunch of stuff to donate that we've already dropped off. A bunch of stuff needed to just go in the trash, and it just felt good. But it was just, we enjoyed the little task. It's also just sitting out and enjoying. It's been raining quite a bit in Tennessee, which we needed it. We went for like 6 weeks and it rained one time. But sometimes it's just sitting and listening to the rain. Whatever those little things are that just make you happy, it's enjoying the little things. Number 25 is understand that this is a moment in time. It's a season, and good times will come. Now, I've told you this in detail, that for years and years, I knew this. I knew my pattern was I was going to get better. There were going to be better times, but the bad times were always going to come back and follow. And a friend of mine said, quit speaking that into your life. And there's some truth and validity to that. And so I don't say that anymore. I have not had a depressive episode in over a year and a half. Is it going to come back? I'm going to say no. Can it? Yes. Do I still have bad days? Yes. But I know that good days are coming, and I know that had I had any of the times that I had decided it was time to go home came to fruition, how many things would I have missed? How many good and wonderful things would I have missed? Now, there's been bad times that I wouldn't have minded missing, but there's been a lot of good times that I'm glad God kept me here to see them. So just understanding that this is a moment, it's a season, and that it's going to pass. And that's why I talk about when you're on your level, when you're on your normal, your level, to really dive deep into all of these things, to get that basis and have that knowledge, diving deep in God's word so that you know the lies of the devil and you can combat them at the beginning where you're not getting back in that pit, and understanding that even if you do all this and you still get back in that pit, you know what? God's right there with you. He's right there beside you. He never left. It's not a punishment. God's right there. We've talked about treatment-resistant depression, and I do believe in that. It's understanding this is a season and it's going to pass. good or bad. Good seasons pass as just as much as bad ones, but just understanding that. Number 26 is removing toxic people. And I think we have a hard time as Christians with this, because you're not supposed to be mean to people. You're not supposed to think you're better than other people. Removing toxic people is neither of those things. What it is it's that for whatever reason, you and that person, that relationship doesn't work. It's not saying that you're a bad person or that they're a bad person. It's saying that for the relationship that the two of you have is toxic. And so you remove yourself from it. They remove themselves and you remove yourself, so that you're no longer around that situation. What that does not mean is that you then talk about them, you make fun of them, you gossip about them. No, that means you remove yourself, you pray for them, you pray God blesses them, you ask God if there's something that you can do to help, for him to show you, and that you will help. But it says that you're taking control of your mental space and you're not allowing those people to have time in it. That's what it means. It doesn't mean you're judging anyone or you're being less Christian. It means that they're putting negative thoughts and time and energy into your space, and you're saying no more. But that you're doing it in a godlike manner. The next one is setting boundaries, and I have a video on this. I can try to link it above, but it's saying that I am not going to let things or people cross these boundaries. It's not worth it to me. And what I've decided is that if God was sitting right beside me in physical form, would I do, say, speak, or participate in whatever is happening? That helps a lot. It's setting boundaries and saying I'm not gonna allow my boundaries to be moved. Now sometimes they can be adjusted because they need to be. Maybe you got a little overboard, or maybe that person or that situation that you set the boundary to has changed. And so boundaries can be adjustable, but they shouldn't be moved to fit because they don't work for whoever you're setting a boundary for, whether it be work, whatever that looks like. The next one is try something creative, a DIY. Try painting, sewing, knitting, something creative. I am not a very creative person. I love the thought of knitting. I love the thought of sewing. I love the thought of crocheting. I told you before, I had the whole Cricut machine and all the things. I sold all of it, gave all of my yarn to a friend of mine who does do all of that. I just don't, it frustrates me, it irritates me. I don't enjoy it once I get started. Now I do enjoy some DIYs, little things I've made like Christmas decorations and stuff, but typically I'm just not creative. It always amazes me if somebody can walk in a house and say, this is what it could look like. And I'm like, what? Huh? I just don't see that. I don't have that gene in my body. Now my family does. Most of my family is very good at like just all of the creative aspects of things. But just trying to find something that you are creative in and using that as an outlet and as a good hobby, a good thing that can make you feel better, make you smile. The next one is number 29, which should be a fairly obvious one, is avoiding drugs and alcohol. And it's not just always illegal drugs. Some drugs that we take interact with other medicines. It's not always mental health medicines. Sometimes it could be your heart medicine. One thing that we've learned over this last little bit is cholesterol medicine can cause a problem sometimes. And so you know, it's avoiding those things. It's being smart with our health. That's why diet and exercise are important, because in a perfect world we wouldn't have to have a pill to fix something. I'm not against medicine. We've talked about this. I take medicine. However, I think if you can fix it without that, that's the best option. And then if you can't, or if it's still high, we talked about my cholesterol had come back high. And my doctor said, well, we need to put you on some medicine. And I said, let's hold off, give me 3 months and we'll retest. And I changed my diet, started working out, and my cholesterol came down. Now that has not been the same for Nick. So, you know, is he wrong to take? No, absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying, so please don't misinterpret. But we know that probably drinking, for me, really at all, maybe you can have 1 drink or 2, whatever that looks like for you, but just avoiding drugs and alcohol is a big one. I think most of us know that without even really having to think hard about it. It is surprising to me how many regular medicines will interact with medication though. I know for me, my depression medicine, I can't take a lot of things. Allergy meds, most allergy meds being one of them. But yeah, it's just learning what you can and can't take and being smart about it. Obviously, illegal drugs, not a good option. Getting drunk is not a good option. The last one, and this is one of my faves, is giving yourself grace. This one I struggle with because I tend to be a little bit harder on myself than I would most people. But even some of you all remind me of that, of Chrissy. Give yourself some grace. And I appreciate that because y'all help me more than you know. Give yourself grace. You're not gonna be perfect at everything. I feel like I demand perfection out of myself for every single thing, and when I fall short, I think there's a problem there. But it's learning to give myself grace. Friends, God sees our heart. He knows what we're trying to do, and I feel like He's always there for us. And I don't feel like it, I know it. I know God's always there for us. And so give yourself a little grace. He does. He gives us grace. He knows we're not perfect. And again, He sees our heart. So this wraps up the end of our 3-part series. I hope it's a little easier for you to be able to find it in a just quick search. And I could maybe do its own little area, like its own little playlist. I'll try to do that so it's easier to find, and that way you don't have to go searching for it. But yeah, just 30 ways that I think can help. I can link the other videos below as well in this 3-part series. But that wraps it up, friends. I end every video this way. It is always my heart and hope that you feel this. God loves you. I love you. Your family, your friends love you, and we need you here. We'll see you in the next one, friends. Bye.